Hello, this is Moos Jacobs for DeBarra Spoken Word, and tonight I'm talking with Catherine Ronan, who will be our next guest at DeBarra Spoken Word on the 6th of June 2023. It's a Tuesday. Welcome, Catherine. Lovely to see you, because I've often see you perform, and you're always a treat for the eye and for the mind as well.
Great to see you too.
Nothing witless about Catherine Ronan. And yeah, obviously you are a poet, right? And you've been doing poetry for a long time. Would you like to tell a little bit about how you started writing poetry?
I wrote my first poem when I was 9. I did a poetry workshop with Paul Muldoon last year in Bantry, and he said, "Can you remember the first poem you ever wrote?" I said, "Oh, I can." I said, because I had bought this new shopping centre had opened up, and I bought this spiral notebook, a pink cover and white kind of sneakers in the front of it. And I was so mad with my mother, I opened the notebook and I wrote, "My jeans are dirty. I have no others. I'd wear some clean ones if they'd been washed by my mother." That was 9. That was a long time ago now, wasn't it?
A revenge poem. Did you ever read it?
No.
Oh. Now it's online. Okay, but you've come a long way, and you're really published regularly and doing. Can you tell me a little bit about what it is like to be published? I mean, you have to send away your poems first, don't you?
Oh, you have to send your poems out left, right, and centre. You have to be very involved in the poetry scene, and you have to be able to cope with rejection, because rejection is part of it.
And how do we cope with rejection?
Keep going, drive on, as my father used to say, drive on. I mean, or as Anton said to me there recently, paper the walls with them, you know. But I mean, it's part and parcel of it. I mean, but in recently now, I have a bit of success. I was accepted today for Drawn to the Light Press, and I was accepted by Long Island Sounds Anthology in New York. So that's my first American publication.
That's really impressive. And was that the first time you tried America, or did you have to bang on a lot of doors?
I came to their attention during COVID. They liked my work. I mean, that's the one good thing that did come out of COVID, in that the local became global and global became local. And I mean, I made so many new friends, and my poetry reached like so many different corners of the world, from Malaysia, America, all parts of America, Germany, Switzerland, you name it. Like, there were poets from all over the world. And this woman used to put in the chat that she liked my work. And then I was invited to submit for this issue, and I sent 3 poems, and all 3 were accepted. So I was delighted.
That's amazing, and that's really a nice process as well, if people choose you in a way. Do you have any of those poems to hand?
I do. I did a course in UCC with Paul Casey, and one of the modules was writing about your inner animal. So this is a deceptively simple poem, but it actually took 3 years to complete. So, and it's one that I always like to read. It's one of my personal favorites of my own, Black Eagle.
Okay.
We gallop as one over yesterday's land, nostrils flaring, riding tailwinds, grass and dirt rising, but no blood today. Take me bareback into ancient ritual, unbridled mystic of the wild, thrashing and roaring dark seas, crossing fast and furious white water. Straddle, Black Eagle, climb out of that ravenous place we once called Earth. I hear you, whisperer, speaking to my saddened soul. I see you, witch, gasping in all your purple glory. Tell me, what news of home? Sing to me of tomorrow.
Wow. Now, For somebody who isn't a poet or has just started poetry, can you explain how it takes 3 years and what did you start off with? What did you add to the poem or what did you take away to arrive at this mythical beast?
Well, a lot of it was written in a few months. So I had the scaffolding of it, if you like. But there just the musicality of it was off, and I didn't know why. And like I love going to workshops, poetry workshops, and I went to a workshop called Rewilding Your Poetry, and we were to bring poems uh, that had animals in them, but that we couldn't finish, that we wanted kind of to discuss in a group to get it over the line. So I brought Black Eagle in because it was one of my favorites, but I knew it wasn't ready. And I had a line in it, steadfast and true. And then, of course, like we're all primed like to spot cliche, but song lyrics can sneak in and we don't even notice them. So steadfast and true is straight from the Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue. And then I had at the last line was sing it back. And there was this woman in the thing, and she was like, that's the disco. Sing it back, sing it back. But those were tweaked and finally fell into place. And Black Eagle is published now in the Long Island Sounds, or
Oh
will be.
wow. Yeah, but did the character of the Black Eagle, did it change over time? Did it evolve? Did it become more mythical or did you know?
Well, in the class that we were doing, we were like to explore our inner animal with their like characteristics and like basically we were to envision it. And this came to me because I suppose I'm fascinated with the idea that the native indigenous used to have their horses and themselves. They could sometimes be called the same. So the guy riding the horse could be called Black Eagle, but his horse could be called Black Eagle as well, and how their unity of spirit was one. And I find that fascinating.
A horse called Catherine. Okay, because I mean the fact that Black Eagle is obviously you see the eagle, but that it's also a horse. Is that something that was there from the start? What was
Yeah,
your central idea? Or your central visual?
the central visual was a Native American riding his black and white Black Eagle horse, and they
Okay,
were galloping off as one.
okay, okay. That's powerful. And if do you feel that if you write a poem like that and you complete it, especially when it's published, but do you feel that it sort of changes you?
It kind of just completes that tiny piece of me,
Okay.
that I'm not going to go back to Black Eagle now. Well, you can always go back to poems, but for the time being, I've moved on from Black Eagle now, so I'm happy with the way it is. That's not to say I'll be happy with it forever and ever, but I'm happy with it at this point in time.
And do you have a lot of poems under that you're working on at the same time? Do you have a whole range of them, or?
Yeah, I have thousands of poems. I tend to I tend to write 5 days out of 7 anyway, and then I tend to go back after a few weeks and see is there a kind of common theme, because it like I the way my technique is that I kind of write them like Polaroids, and then I go back and reread them to see what is trying to come out here at any particular time. You find, say, after a month that there's a kind of common theme or common images running through the poems, and you might have to, like as I say, Polaroid them first before you create the masterpiece.
Okay. And because it sounds like you, I mean, do you feel you channel your poetry or do you feel you create it yourself or is it a subconscious process?
Um, some poems they're all different, really. Sometimes you feel like you're just a conduit, and that like I can hear the words coming in, and they usually come in into my right ear, and I can almost hear them on the wind coming in. They're the ones where you just sit and you allow yourself to be the conduit, just to write down whatever you hear that you can work with afterwards. And then other poems, like successful poems that I've had, I've done research. So I won the Winter Solstice Poetry Competition. I researched all the different rituals all over the world, in the associated with the winter solstice.
Okay.
And so, so that's kind of based on research, you know. So
Okay.
I mean, and then other poems, just you might just hear a word and that might generate something, or an object might have sentimental value, and you kind of, you know, write an emotion in response to it. You know, they all come from different places really, but I like yeah, they all come from different places, but I like to do a bit of both really. I like to be the conduit, and I like to be the instigator,
Okay.
to initiate the research and see what comes out of that, and of course workshop. Love workshop.
And if you say emotional response, is that something you actually feel, or do you identify an emotion?
Well, I believe that certain objects carry the kind of spirit of the person when they're gone, you know?
Okay.
That so as a comfort, I'd like to have, say, something that belonged to friends of mine who have died, or, you know, a brooch belonged to my grandmother, or something like that, you know, that I feel that I'm kind of carrying their essence in a sense, you know?
But that doesn't mean that they give you direct messages.
No.
Not yet. That might
Well,
be.
I'd like to think though that they're looking out for me, like, you know.
Yeah, why
And
not?
yeah, and I was saying to you earlier that my great grandfather used to write doggerel poetry,
Okay.
this kind of free verse poetry, and you know, I think they were kind of distillation of our ancestors. So I think he might be pleased to see me, you know, taking up the gauntlet where he left off.
Okay, great. Because apart from being published in a raft of magazines by now, do you have any other ambitions with your poetry?
I do, of course. I'd like to have multiple collections of my own out.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully the first collection will be out before the end of the year. Might be on the shelves by Christmas, hopefully.
Okay, and how many poems would a collection contain?
A collection can contain anything between 60 and 100, really.
But in your case, what are you sort of aiming at?
I'll aim about 80, I think.
Okay, but you're going directly to a collection. You're not going to do a chapbook first. A chapbook being a kind of intermediate step. Test the water.
Well, test the water, yeah. Well, for me, I'm kind of, I'm not getting any younger, and I
Well,
don't know
that's
have
a
I the time.
surprise.
I don't know if I have the time to have multiple chapbooks of 25 poems out. So I'm going to go for the collection, I reckon.
For the big one, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of your other ventures, you have made at least, how many poetry films have you been involved in?
I've been involved in two. I have my own poetry film, Policing Mary, and I am starring in Stanley Knott's Where's Your Christmas Jumper?
Oh, yes.
So I've been involved with two poetry films. But I'm not ruling poetry film out. I really enjoy making poetry films, and I'm hoping that this summer now, especially, I'll get a few more under
Oh,
my
really?
belt.
Do you have ideas for that?
Yeah.
And you're working with your own poetry film maker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and see, some poems would lend themselves really easily towards poetry film, depending, you know.
Okay.
So I won't have to go looking for material. It's just that I have to come up with ideas to match the words, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
And you're also an actress in a way, aren't you?
I do like to be filmed, yeah.
And in policing.
And yeah, and Policing Mary, and I was the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz in the Cork Opera House when I was much younger as well.
Okay, Catherine. Well, I really look forward to seeing you at the bars on 8:30 sharp. And oh, do you want to say anything? Because you make jewelry, I've been told by Little Bird. You're wearing something that is of your own making, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, like
Are they
quartz
real
crystal.
gemstones?
They are quartz crystal and Swarovski AB bicones.
Wow,
Mm.
you glitter. Okay. See you later, Catherine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mosey.
Bye-bye.